Alright, we gotta find a deck to dismantle, and I think it's gonna be this one. I was using this one as a more or less like something to have a visual for doing some screen cap. So this one is unnecessary. And we can take a look at some of these Gate Guardian cards. I love the fact that you can use this. It's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of funny, but it's also kind of ridiculous. Alright, so what we're looking at is a Labyrinth Heavy Tank. No, I don't think they will. I don't think, shiny armor people. I don't think shiny armor people are actually going to get power crept that much because they're more focused on, at least extra deck wise, they're more focused on protection compared to interacting with the opponent. So it's like interacting with the opponent is something that does get power crept a little bit more, but having a card that you just activate it and here I am, you can't touch me. Stuff like that is normally not as it's not as changed compared to like other things. So if anything, it's kind of like when the Kaijus came out. You had towers. Now towers, Quillfort Towers, is pretty much just a big monster that's unaffected by other cards that are level based. You have a lower level than it; it's unaffected by it. So it itself, you could say, got power crept because of the introduction of Link monsters, but that was also like something very specific to it, being like, hey, if your level is lower, then no. Well, Link monsters don't have levels, they don't have ranks, so they didn't count. So that is something that you could say, hey, was, but when you have like generic protection, hey, you can't do this to us, you can't do that to us, you can't do this to us. At that point, having cards that can out certain things start becoming, I would say, almost dangerous to make. So if you were to have like a monster and the monster comes out and it's just like, oh yeah, this is non-targeting, non-destruction, banishing, removal with like effect negate, like stupid stuff. At that point, now you're creating a card that is good against everything, regardless of what you're playing and or playing against. And that is more dangerous for the game's balance compared to just, hey, here's a monster that can't be destroyed by card effects. Like, you can still destroy it by battle, but you can't destroy it with card effects. And Shaddoll Winda is like that, because she only has 2200 attack. She floodgates you into only being able to special summon once per turn. So you can still, what's up, Disco Dave? You can still special summon, it's just you can only special summon once while she's face up. So if you do get rid of her, you can. She can still be tributed, but she can't be destroyed by effects. So you can still bounce her, you can still spin her, you can still negate her effect, little things like that. It's just that you can't just like activate Regeki like I would and then get her off of the field. Like, you have to do something either to tribute her off, fusion her off with like Super Poly, tribute with Kaiju, things like that. And so having them where it's like, hey, we can't be targeted with card effects is a pretty good form of protection, because it's just, we can't be targeted with card effects. We can still be hit with other stuff. Maybe Actually, let me just pull them up. There you are. Alright, so we go using this tuner's material, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. If this card is synchro summon in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can special summon. So really what it does is if you actually use the mainline material, there you go, you got targeting protection. If your opponent doesn't get rid of it, it gets replacement up to the number of tuners used for it. So 1+ tuners and then 1 light monster. I would say this is in fact pretty good for making this monster. Level 10, so you're going to need more. Preferably you're going to want more than these two. It is going to be relatively easy to make, but you are going to be reliant on light monsters. So yeah, I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be, it's not overpowered, but if you actually can play it, like you could play this in Lightsworn. You could have this in a Lightsworn deck with a couple of the like some of these. I know they're not actual light monsters, but they're not bad. They're not great, but they're not bad. Plus they're all fairies, so there's plenty of fairy support. What do you mean you hope it doesn't end up like Soul Sword? Soul Sword is still good, it's just not the flavor of the week. And you can still get ridiculous plays out of Soul Sword.